It is. Boom. Well, what's going on? Happy freaking Saturday. I'm excited. It's a super Saturday. Caught a team training this morning that was fire. And then from there, we about to get into this conversation. And I'm truly excited, you guys, because this book, obviously, as you guys know, is the foundation of personal selling and finance. It's literally the keys to success. And the author is the mentor to the millionaire. So I'm ecstatic. We're going to run through chapter 6 and 7 today. And honestly, because my man's been on camera ready whole time, I'm gonna pass it to Cam to open us up today. And I'm excited. Let's get it cracking, done it. What's up?
Well, what's good, y'all? Um, Again, in my mix of getting a lot of things underway, I really don't have no excuses why I haven't listened to this book quite yet. As much as I've been doing the eats and as much as I've been around and available. So I got no excuses. I'm actually about to listen through while we have this conversation so I can catch in and catch a lot of notes. Funny enough, I got my notes pulled up so I can designate and listen to everybody else's perspectives and catch sauce. So if you got the sauce, don't hold back for me, please.
I'll open it for us.
There it is.
Appreciate you, Money.
Come on. All right. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Happy Saturday. You know what's the freaking deal? I am, of course, loving this book. As Mikkel said, this is definitely one of those books that gets you in. If you wasn't in the mood, you're going to be in the mood to want your finances to be on point. And, I just realized my hair is half done, but don't worry about that. You see, she's got inches, people. Anyways, okay, so let's go to my notes because chapter 6 was, of course, very good. Okay, I just wanted to start with this quote because it's sad, but it made me laugh, which is kind of dark humor, but whatever. The Robert asked, he said, "What's the silver bullet?" And she shrugged and said, "If baby boomers discover they don't have enough money to live on when they're older, they can always blow their brains out." I know this is not funny, but it's hard truth and hard realities of what happens when as people, we solely depend on a job or the government to give us financial wealth. Because if we've learned anything from this book, that is not the case. There is no such thing as getting financial wealth from the government or one sole job. So he talks about a lot of the downfalls of having only one specialty. So that's tough. And it's tough for a person like me who grew up in a very, I grew up in LA, urban community, definitely underfunded. And me and my classmates knew that. So it wasn't like we were all just unaware. What we were unaware of was how detrimental it was to our creativity, our flow, and the things that we choose to do with our time and education. So, like he's been saying, his rich dad or his poor dad was always into education. So he started to go on these he started, Robert got his degrees and his rich dad was extremely happy about that. He still got his education. And at one point, he got a job that paid very well and he learned the skills. I believe he went to the Marine. I want to say he went to the Marine Corps or he went in a branch of military to become a pilot. And that's what he wanted to learn. And then once he left Vietnam, he left. And his poor dad was very disappointed because his poor dad had this mentality of let's get our education, specialize in a field, and make as much money in that field as we can. But what Robert is saying in this book, that is not possible to attain wealth that way, because if something happens like it happened to his poor dad, the governor did not want him, basically fired him, and he had to start all over with a career, and he ended up working for a teachers union. So in the book, he says, Robert brings up the fact that this happened to his poor dad, and his he ended up like liking it felt like he liked the work, like his poor dad liked the work that was going on, or working for the teachers union and like fighting for teachers rights. But at the end of the day, he kept having to go back to school for more specialized skills in this one particular area. And, eventually he died poor, because when he died, the government took whatever little money he had left, and that was it. So it's actually really sad, because specializing in one field just does not work. And you can see that this hasn't worked for a long time. When Robert uh, Kiyosaki, he took this journey with his rich dad, this was like in the 50s. Fast forward to 2024, having only one skill will not cut it just for the bare minimum now. At one point, maybe like, I don't know, maybe, well, let's say in the 90s, you would be able to have a decent paying job, pay all your bills, feed your family, and have a house. Now that is not possible. And we see the gap is continuing to widen because of financial ignorance, unfortunately. So that hits hard. Going to school and learning that you get a job and you'll have everything you need, and just to find out that that was a lie. I mean, yeah, takes a lot out of me personally too, because I'm in real estate. I love real estate. It's definitely a passion of mine. Um, but reading this book, I had to reconsider if real estate was going to be like, what was I going to get out of real estate? He joined, in the book, he talks about joining Xerox to gain leadership skills, and him going there just for that reason, and then quitting when he was done. Leadership skills. And then I think he was doing sales. He's like, I wanted to not be afraid of rejection in sales. He didn't want to be scared anymore of selling, which is why he decided to work for these specific companies. He had specific goals in these companies, and once he attained them, he would just quit. So instead of learning one specific skill, he built up his financial house. He built up his financial intellect, really, and broke it down over years worth of effort, and just gaining the knowledge and the skills he needed to be a full circled entrepreneur. It's actually pretty powerful, because I mean, when I think about being in real estate, I've been a property manager. I've been in property management for a long time. Now I'm going for real estate. I'm just, what am I going to get out of it? And that's actually a question that I haven't really meditated on yet, because that's something you got to meditate, pray on, like, what are you doing? What job are you doing? What goals are you looking to attain, and why? And it kind of ties back to Start With Why. These two chapters definitely tied back into Start With Why, instead of like having this, all around view and in things that you want to do. It's like basically zeroing in on exactly why you want to do it. So when things get a little tougher, there's no running away. There's only facing it. He said, if your why is stronger, this is what he said in this book, not Start With Why, but it was just so similar. I was like, oh wow, that's so crazy. He said that if your why, you don't have a strong enough emotional connection to your why, then when things happen, you want to quit. So that's deep. That's deep. Even like just now, how we tied in those past couple books that we've been reading. I mean, to be honest, all the books that we've been reading all year have just been really locking into one another. So I love that connection. Also, I just wanted to, this will be just, I don't know, my favorite thought possible. His rich dad had a mantra, and I think he was talking about that in chapter 7. He was talking about Texas. Yeehaw. talking about Texas. He's like, I like Texas. I like Texans. In Texas, everything is bigger. When Texas win, they win big. And when they lose, it's spectacular. And he says, they like losing. He said, that's not what I'm saying. Nobody likes losing. Show me a happy loser and I'll show you a loser, said Rich Dad. So that's funny because I don't know if there's any Cowboy fans on here, but the Cowboy fans out here, I don't know why, but they act like Cowboys are the greatest team in the world. They don't care if they've been losing for however many years. It does not matter to them. It's like, we're gonna ride for what we love. So it really like kind of tied into that, what he said, but it's really true. You can fail many, many times. And it really just goes to show like if you're a true winner or a loser at heart. Unfortunately, like, when you fail, does it kind of get you down and out where you just want to quit? Or do you fail, learn your lesson, move forward, and take that lesson with you on to the next? Even when Rich Dad had like, deals he was nervous of, or he was, maybe a little scared, a little nervous, he would tell his adopted kid and his actual kid, Mike and Robert, he would tell them about the story about Texas, about how they are, everything's bigger in Texas. And he did that as like this mantra to help ease his soul and ease his soul, keep his emotions in check. And that is a huge difference between the wealthy and the non-wealthy people. Robert, he had a friend who he got in on a deal. All he had to do was put that $5,000 down and he would have been able to make a profit. Instead, his friend talked to somebody who had nothing to do with anything, who convinced him that it was not a right move. You're putting way too much money in. And years later, of course, he could have made like $4,000 profit. He could have made money. He could have at least been in that place. He didn't even try. He got scared and freaked out, and now he lost out. And to this day, he has never taken a chance on himself and his finances, and that's it. So it really comes down to what are your fears? Identifying your fears and letting them go. At the end of the day, fears for survivor mode. Fear is not for living. Fear is not, life is not for the weak. And if you have all these goals and things that you want, like, it's okay to want them, even if it's a little bit greedy. You feel me? I'm okay with that. I'm personally okay with that. You feel me? I love luxury. I love sustainable luxury, but I also really like luxury. So even on times when I probably even shouldn't be spending extra money, I do because that's what I like. I don't lie to myself about that because I know that this is like my mindset. This is where I want to be anyway. So now I'm being much better with my finances, so I can have the luxury for the long run instead of the short term. So that's something that this book is teaching me. But it's really important to, have a mantra: stay in the game, take your chances, make risk, and don't give up just because something went wrong. I mean, Robert Kiyosaki freaking filed bankruptcy. So, and he's still in the game. So what does that tell you? All right, y'all, that's my time. Thanks. I'm going to pass it to whoever wants to go next. Matt, are you available? Matt or Sam? Sam, I saw you. Okay, Matt came. Okay.
If somebody could take it for right now, I'd appreciate it. I'm just over here at Walmart right now. So I'm tuning in though. Appreciate you.
Hey, Sam, are you available? I saw you. Come on.
Hey man, it's gonna be hard to go after that fire breakdown you had, Amani. Appreciate you. That was fire. You dropped the sauce. Yeah, let me see. Let me go to my notes real quick. Turn my camera. Hey, happy Saturday, y'all. Thank you for coming out to the book club. We made it. Man, this book is really one of one, y'all. So to break down specifically these chapters, man, like chapter 6, he really went in to like just seeing like, well, personally, like what we know how to make money It really is just like we work to make money. And then once he said that, that's literally the worst way to make money. That was like, wait, what? Wait, well, that's all we knew how to do was just we trade our time for money. And what this book is like teaching us, like Amani just broke down, like we operate in out of fear, we operate out of, you know, um, pride. We don't want to take the loss. We don't want to lose. Everything we do, we want to win. So like she was saying, like it doesn't work like that. You gotta create those habits. You gotta break that cycle that you have. And that was really the main part, man. It's just hard to go out there, man. She broke that down good. But man, this, yeah, like you said, um, man, my notes are kind of all over the place. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, the main thing was really just work to learn and don't work for money because that's all we were taught to do. Go to school to have somebody else tell you how much an hour of your time is worth. And man, that's disrespectful because they're never going to tell you your true worth. So if you just take that bet on yourself, rather than, go to an interview and say, I'm worth, $20 an hour, if you put that time into yourself and bet on yourself, I guarantee you will be making a lot more than what they'll pay you. So that's all we have to do is just change that paradigm shift. We have these things, just core beliefs, what they tell us. They said practice makes perfect, but no, practice doesn't make perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Practice makes improvement. So when we just change these paradigm shifts that they've taught us, that they've ingrained in us to keep us just living this quote unquote rat race, they give us, 50 cents increase over 6 months. So what do we think? Like, all right, well, you just commit to 6 months. All right, we got that little 50-cent raise. I get a little bit more, I can spend a little bit more. So it's just that greed that takes over and that instant gratification that, I worked hard for this. I deserve this right now. And so we just have to change our mind, and neuroplasticity is really interesting, just rewiring your brain of how you've been taught to think. So this book really is breaking it down for you and telling you the importance of not only going for the risk, but of not going for the risk. You're also paying, like he said, you don't reap the benefits of eating healthy. If you don't eat healthy, you pay the consequences of being unfit. So there's just two sides to everything, and just once we read this book, it just kind of opens your awareness of not living just subconsciously. Once you're conscious of your unconscious thoughts and you're thinking about what you're thinking about, it's such a paradigm shift. So we don't think the same thoughts every single day, getting the same results every single day. My boy Marcus, he breaks that down and calls that literal insanity. Wanting to do the same thing every day, but wanting something different. So there's answers in books, and there's a lot of answers in this book right here. So as we keep continuing to break this down, man, it's going to teach us how to overcome those obstacles of fear and like we said, the pride and the ego. So that's what I got out of it. Amani, I appreciate your share again. And let's see who is ready. I can pass this thing to Amber. You ready? I got you. Appreciate y'all.
Stay ready all day, every day. Hey everyone, what up? It's your girl, Amber. Okay. The only thing that I want to hit on in these two chapters is the conversation that he was having with the wannabe best-selling author. Real quick before I talk about that, yeah, Imani, fire. Samuel, fire. Thanks for the fire sauce. It's amazing. So in the beginning of chapter 6, there was this lady, and she was like, I want to be a best-selling author. And he was like, okay, cool, do this. And then she, didn't listen. So let's just pause right there. She asked him for advice because he had a result that she wanted, and then he gave it to her and she didn't like it. So let's all take a moment to reflect on that and not be that way. When we are asked, when people have what we want and we ask them for their recommendations and they tell us and we don't like it, and we get an attitude about it, let's just not be that way because it's not the smart thing to do. You know what I mean? I just want to say that. Okay, moving on. So he tells her that to start getting good at sales, and she gets like super, super offended. And she's like, why would I be good at sales? Like, I'm a professional, I'm a trained professional writer, like this, and that. Like, why would I do that? And he was like, basically, like, okay, you could either be a great author, or you could be, hold on, you're a great writer. I went to school. You have a master's. Put them together. Best-selling author, best writing author. Basically, she didn't want to learn how to sell. She didn't want to learn how to sell, and you know, we cannot be the best kept secret out here. We have to learn how to sell, and we have to, you know, change our mindset around what that means. I remember whenever I was in first like network marketing, like 21, 22 years old, and you know, I was out here. I had big dreams. I was doing my best, and a lot of people came for me because like there was like this whole notion of like, oh, you're just trying to like sell people stuff or this, and that. And now at 29 years old, I wish somebody would come at me like that. I'd just be like, yeah, I am. Like, what do you mean? Like, we have to pay our bills. It's an exchange of money. It's an exchange of energy. That's what money is. It's not meant to be held on to. So the mindset around, you know, not wanting to get good at sales because of fear of thinking that it's about greed or you're taking somebody from somebody is the wrong mindset. Like, just straight up, that is not the mindset I have around it. And so learning how to sell like a very important skill, very particular skill that I believe everybody here 100% sure should just hone in on and learn how to do, you know, getting better at your communication, understanding your product, understanding, you know, how to be persuasive and, you know, really talking about like the end in mind, talking about the why and stuff, because that stuff is really, really, really important. You know, we can have all the skills as entrepreneurs to do all the things, but if we don't know how to sell it to somebody, if we don't know how to communicate with other people, then it's only gonna get like so far, like, you know, as far as us. And so that's the only topic that I wanted to hit on. Nothing really profound for me to say about that, but just like that was interesting because I just remember like whenever I was younger, like, you know, I didn't have a lot of confidence in sales. I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. I was just doing my best. I was following the people who had what I wanted and they told me to do that. So I did. And now there's just times whenever like I remember like sometimes, okay, so my best friend at the time in my first network marketing career, she just like didn't have my back. And like 10 years later, sometimes I'll talk about it and I just have a lot of confidence now where I remember one time she was talking about it. She was like, yeah, I remember like, you know, we wanted to do it, but she was like, it was just like the way you came about it. You just didn't like come about it like the right way. And I was like, I was 21 years old. You were my best friend. I shouldn't have had to come. I shouldn't have had to be perfect. I should just been able to come to you. That was my first time ever. And you, my best friend, y'all treated me like shit. Y'all treated me like I was some like I was stupid, you know? Like, and now I look back, I'm like, y'all are crazy. I was not the crazy one. I was the one out here like doing my best. Like, you know what I mean? And so just that story for y'all that now I'm like, no, like that was actually really messed up of y'all. Like you know, to like not give like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like not have a positive mindset or, you know, allow the people around you to freaking you know, practice, you know, follow their dreams and this and that. And people just get so the thing about that, and I know why, like I know it wasn't about me or nothing like that. People just are so emotionally attached to money. And that's the last point I'm gonna make. We have got to really detach from money. Like 100%. It's a tool. It's a tool that's meant to be used. It's a tool that's meant for us to do what like we need to do with it. It's energy, and we are energy. The money comes from us. And so the more energy you have and the more that you know how to manage your energy and manage your money, the more money you're gonna have. It's not about worth. It's not that it's not enough. It's literally your mindset and learning how to manage it, to be honest. And so when people behave that way, just understand. Last point I'm gonna make, just understand there's only two big reasons why anyone does anything at the end of the day, either out of fear or out of love. And if they're coming at you any kind of way, it's because they're scared. Deep down, deep down, they are scared. They're scared they don't have enough. They're scared that they can't follow their dreams. They're scared. And you know, let's not judge other people. And you know, trust me, I judged a lot. But at the end of the day, everyone's doing the best with the information that they have, you know, and it's not personal. They weren't coming for me personally. They just didn't have any money. And so me asking them to push themselves and go on vacation and pay for something was probably frustrating for them. You know, like it's really frustrating to want something and believe that you can't have it. It's a very, very, very painful feeling. And so believe that you can, because you can. And that's all I got to say about that, y'all. Let's see what's up. I don't know if Matt is still at Walmart. We got Kel and Andy and Marcus. Okay.
I was like, I'm here too.
You can go, Marcus.
Okay, bet. 1 second, y'all. Boom. I just got Saturday morning run in. Getting some things in motion. Boom. I'm just step outside for it. Wow. Can y'all hear me?
My bad, guys.
Okay?
My internet's spotty right now.
All good, Andy. Can y'all? Okay, bet. Smooth. Well, yo, fire. I ran 2 miles today, and the last mile and a half was listening to Imani and Sam spaz off. So it was lit. I'm not gonna lie, it gave me some energy. And it's honestly amazing, bro. I really love how much this book opens up people's perspectives. And I say this every time I get on the call, but this is like my 5th time reading the book. And every time I see something in a different perspective. And everything is really more simple than we make it as human beings. I think Sam hit it right on the nail. At the end of the day, it's reprogramming your thought process. So one of the things I wanted to point out came from that story that Amber was referencing to. Appreciate the sauce girl, because she got so offended that he was telling her to go and figure out how to sail. And when he pointed down at his name and was like, what does that say? And she was like, Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author. He was like, and that's the difference between you and I. I'm a best-selling author and you're the best writing author. You don't have to be the absolute best at everything. You just, as he referenced in the book, you got to know a little bit, or as the rich dad told him, you got to know a little bit about a lot of things so that you can put yourself in the right lanes and leverage the right things throughout the process. I'm going to reference the book, though, because there were some fire points that I highlighted, and I want to make sure that you guys touch on, because I definitely overlooked it the first the first 4 times I read this book, and it was kind of crazy when I read it this time, and it stood out to me. It says, as he has mentioned before, financial literacy is a synergy of accounting, investing, marketing, and law. Combine these 4 technical skills, and making money with money is easier than most people would believe. When it comes to money, the only skill most people know is to work hard. Now, crazy, because this man Sam and Imani both touched on it. But genuinely, I was having a conversation with my mom last night about, once you have learned these different lanes, knowing a little bit about a lot, you then have to utilize them together congruently so that it could work in your favor. So y'all know what I like to do. When there are big words, I go and look at definitions so that my assumptions aren't skewed, because sometimes we assume what certain words or things mean. And then I don't know who that is, but sometimes we assume things that certain aspects of what things mean. And in the process, we kind of get misled due to the way that our minds were programmed previously. Who is that? Someone literally is turning around, y'all. And I was that boy Casey. I was like, yo. I was like, who the fuck? What's up, bro? What up, girl? How are you? You know what I'm saying? Good to see you, bro. Where y'all doing? Y'all headed back home or what?
Yeah, my mom's are now in the Broncos.
Okay.
I got this down in Arizona.
Let's go. That sounds fun. Hey, bro, shoot a couple rounds for me. Yeah, I ain't never shot a gun yet. It's crazy. No, bro, I need to go. So we'll plan something. It's good to see y'all. What's up, bro? Yes, sir. Sorry, y'all. I just saw one of my like high school best friend from back when. They could just put up on me, y'all. But quick question: can y'all still hear me? Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. I can hear
Okay,
you
thank you.
just loud and clear, brother.
So, hey, bro, I had a McHale moment. You know what I'm saying? Just being outside. You know, running into somebody. This is crazy. Okay, but anyways, synergy, right? So
We lost you. Can't hear anything you're saying, Marcus. Dang.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Everybody knows a little bit maybe about these specific 4 technical skills, but it's the utilization of the skills together, not just doing them separately at certain times. They all have to complement one another. Here's a definition of synergy. I'm really breaking down this whole sentence for my take on the book club because I thought it was this important. Okay, so anyways, chapter 6, y'all can go look at it. But synergy is the interaction or cooperation of 2 or more organizations, substances, or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects. Let me repeat that just one more time. Synergy is the interaction or cooperation of 2 or more organizations, substances, or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects. So he says, yo, y'all need to know how to have accounting in motion, have investing underway, have marketing in your favor, and abide by the law. One of the biggest things that has been changing my paradigm when it comes to money so that I can detach from it the way that Ember was talking about was understanding that I might have been doing some of these things, but I wasn't intentionally making sure that they complemented one another so that their combined effect was greater than their separate one. What's the definition of accounting? So y'all ask yourselves, this is what I'd be asking myself while I'm reading this book, but y'all ask yourselves this question: am I actually doing this to the level I need to? Accounting, the action or process of keeping financial accounts. Consider a regard in a specific, detailed way. Investing, the expend of money with the expectation of achieving a profit or material result by putting it into financial plans, shares, or property, or by using it to develop a commercial venture, provide or endow someone or something with a particular quality or attribute. Boom. Marketing, the activity or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. And then law, the system of laws which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of the members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties, aka how a rule is defining correct procedure or behavior in a particular lane. And this is the biggest thing that stood out to me, y'all, was that, yo, I definitely have gotten to know some, but I haven't been as intentional. Y'all throw some ones in the chat if you have a budget currently and you track your expenses every month. And it's okay if you don't, but I want to see something. Boom, Matt. All right, cool. 1.5. Okay, I like that answer. I don't know what that means. Okay, cool. All right, if you didn't put a 1 in or you're not currently budgeting, start there. Because if you want to be financially wealthy, as he says, you need financial literacy, and it is not accomplished unless you have those 4 technical skills put together. It's not just 1 or 2 or 3. It is all 4. And honestly, I was reading this. I had the craziest conversation with my mom because I was telling her how, yo, I have a crazy Excel spreadsheet, but I wasn't tracking what percentages of my income were going where, as detailed as I should have been. And as I started making more intention around that, I was then starting to see like, oh, wait, I really don't even need $100,000. I can go and find $100,000 to go utilize elsewhere and then split and divvy that up. So my paradigm was able to change. And now we find ourselves in position where we're able to go and leverage multiple different routes to go and move cash flow from asset to asset, and develop disposable income so that we can live the lifestyle that we all want to go and live. So honestly, bro, this whole sentence, crazy the way it stood out to me this time around compared to the last 4 times I read it. But yeah, so accounting is 1. 2, marketing. Oh, Amber,
Sorry.
I don't know what just happened. I was like, did you say something, girl? But marketing, right? What is it? This is why I love the fact that in our industry that if direct sales that I've been in for the past 9 years, I've got to learn through experience the power of marketing, and then being able to utilize that and knowing that every industry, whatever lane, whatever company, marketing is inexcusable. All companies budget towards it. It's necessary. Then from marketing investing, shout out those who are literally learning how to invest or actively investing for the first time. You guys are putting in the practice, and as you compound that, it's just a skill and you can improve it over time. Literally, talent is nothing more but a pursued interest. You took interest in it, you pursued it, you'll get talented in it through the process because of the repetition. You just literally overcome that through reps. And then the last one, which I feel like scares the most amount of people, including myself, is law. Sometimes we just don't know it. But what's amazing is you saw how Rich Dad had a team that focus and were experts in law. He didn't necessarily know all the ins and outs of law. He knew enough so that he could go and find the right people to manage him operating in accordance to the law of wherever he was living at the time. You've got to start thinking in that manner and understanding that your 7 and 8 figure self is not worried about specific problems you're currently worried about. Your 7 and 8 figure self understands that making $1 million is actually easy. It's not hard. Like, look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that and fully believe it. But if you don't, you'll never get to 7 figures because you think it's difficult. It'll be the most difficult thing you ever do. Let me rephrase that. It's simple and easy because of the way in which you can go and obtain the $1 million. What's difficult is becoming the person deserving of the $1 million, which is why it's worthwhile going after. But although it's going to be the most difficult thing that you ever do, once you do it, every millionaire I've talked to says that the most difficult million was their first. And then after that, it was a snowball thing because they figured it out and then they did it again. So you're in the process of figuring it out. And I just want to point everybody's focus and attention to that. I don't have the page numbers because I'm currently looking at the ebook. But it is shortly after he was talking to the interviewer, and she barged off angry and frustrated. He then further talks about, boom. I really love the example of like, all right, who in here can go and actually make a better hamburger than McDonald's? And a lot of people understood that they can make a higher quality burger than McDonald's. And then he was like, so why do they have more money than you then? And it's because they understand systems. So the biggest thing is not to take that like, okay, I'll never have a better burger than McDonald's, and McDonald's has a successful business. The questions you should ask yourself while you're reading it is, why is McDonald's successful? And he gives you the answer. It's because they focus on systems. So I'm grateful for the systems that we've been able to build here, how we're expanding that, and how we're going to be more intentional as well as efficient as we continuously grow. And it's just reminiscent that at the end of the day, you got to focus on the things that the wealthy focus on to get what the wealthy have. The last one, chapter 7, bro, was a lot because I'm going through a lot in my life. So I'm going to keep it very transparent with you guys. And overcoming obstacles, crazy. Again, I've read this book so many times, but the timing in which I'm reading this chapter and where I'm at in my life, I could be anywhere else, but where I'm at presently and understanding the 5 things that cause boom. Hold on one sec. What did he say? The 5 main reasons why financial literate people may still not develop abundant asset columns that could produce a large cash flow. So when I first read this, it never really made sense to me. But this is where I feel like a whole lot of our community is stepping into in terms of, you've gotten the knowledge, now you need to apply. And these are the things that keep you from applying. the 5 main reasons why financially literate, people that understand how money works, people who took the time and learned it and know where the money's going and how the money's moving, but don't actually develop the abundant asset columns, is because of number 1 reason, fear. Number 2 was cynicism. Number 3 was laziness. Number 4 was bad habit. And number 5 is arrogance. I think one of the most impactful questions I've ever gotten asked to me before was, if I understand exactly what needs to be done and I know I want to be where I'm at, why am I not currently there? And when I answered, I don't know, my mentor told me, it's because you genuinely have not become the person required of you to get that lifestyle. Y'all, these 5 things, if you recognize them taking place in your life when these obstacles occur, because they're like the seasons. After fall, you're going to experience winter. After winter, there will be a spring. That's the way the world has been working for over 5,000, 6,000 years. Okay, so we're always going to experience these problems. I was just talking to Cam last night. Like, I understand that problems are never going to go away. You can be extremely financially poor, illiterate. Or excuse me, I'm not going to say poor because I don't think poor is a spirit. You can be financially broke and illiterate, or you can be extremely wealthy and abundant, and you're still going to have problems. You're not that special, is what I want to remind everybody. Your problems aren't special. The things you got going on don't make you an exception. It is a lot bigger than you. And the moment that fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance starts to get in the way of your ability to overcome obstacles so you can go and run the play, whatever route that looks like for you, whether it's investing, whether it's building your business, whether it's trading, whether it's real estate, whether it's you just being the best leader possible, like, it doesn't matter. What's going to keep you from developing that abundance is literally you. And that's what stood out to me through chapter 7, is that there are times where things get difficult and we want to resort back to the ways in which we once had, our bad habits, our want to just sit there and be entertained, to consume rather than create, to be served rather than serve. It's just as simple to do nothing as it is to do something. And it really just takes a decision process in your mind that literally no one else can make for you. And that was the resounding message that was standing out to me throughout chapter 7, just because of the things that I've been experiencing in my life as of late, and recognizing that I knew a lot, y'all, about the financial plays in order to develop wealth. And when I seen, not that long ago, probably 6 months ago, where I was at, how I got there, and why my asset columns have not accumulated over the time, although I knew how to do everything, I was able to pinpoint certain habits that I was entertaining due to those 5 reasons. Whether it was arrogance one time, whether it was fear another, whether it was laziness, or just bad habits of what I used to do. But like, the moment I surrendered all of that, and for me personally, I just always give it back to God. Jesus saved my life. So if it wasn't for him, I would literally be doing the same stuff. And I know that the visions I have in my brain wouldn't even have a chance. So for those who operate in the faith and really believe in a God and understand that Jesus came and died for us, it was his words alone that stated that those of you who are last will be first, and those of you who are first will be last. We are called to serve one another, not to be served. For the Son of Man came to serve others and give up his life as a ransom for many. Sometimes I want to get emotional because I know the human in me takes that for granted at times when I don't even recognize that I am. But literally, y'all, past 90 days, that one sentence has been replaying in my head every single day. And it's allowed me to get in a space where I'm freaking excited. I'm genuinely excited because the things that have kept me from where I know that I'm headed towards, sometimes were not because God was holding me back or making me be patient. Sometimes it wasn't because the enemy was trying to distract me. Sometimes it was just because I wasn't stepping into it. And I feel like that realization, that acceptance comes right before you go and implement the things at a different level than you did prior. And that's where you hit the new level. And then you'll face a new devil. And then you got to go through the process again. But I'm excited, y'all, because we've been attracting some amazing people. I'm grateful for this book club. I'm grateful for the insights, and I'm grateful for this book. And I can't wait to really pass down not just the information, but the application of the lifestyle that comes with the knowledge from the book, with my kids, with my niece, my nephew. It's dope because despite the challenges, y'all, we ain't never been in a better position than we are today. So I love y'all. My fault for a little rant, but I wanted y'all to be in motion and understand a little bit of those 4 technical skills. Because in order to get wealthy, we need all 4, and they got to work together. But I guess everyone left. Mr. Steele, you can take it away, big dog.
Well, damn, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah. I was literally finna message you like, save some sauce for me, Marcus. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. No, I appreciate your insight, bro. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate your transparency as well. Whole squads, actually, man. Like, it's dope to hear everybody's truly like this take on this book, because this book just hits different every time that you read it. It's crazy. Like, it's different. And these 2 chapters specifically, just where we're all at, I think it was perfect. I think that's why I woke up so excited for this book club today. I didn't even know because I was reading at the beginning of the call, wrapping this up. So it's crazy. I'm excited. I will say, if you haven't read, you can literally, while the music's playing, most of the time just knock out the reading for the book club. At least 65% of that thing, and then you listen for context and you skim the rest of the chapters and reread them after the call. But in that, like, honestly, in my times of haste, because Cam, I know where you at. I'm speaking directly to you right now. I know where you're at in your life. And in my times of haste, bro, that's literally what I do, bro. I wake up every single Saturday. To this day, I've done this for 3 years. And I read the call while I read the chapters of the book while the music is playing. Into while the first person's talking, I'm like listening, reading, listening, reading, listening, reading, coming back to the Zoom, like, damn, that was far. Let me go hit the chat real quick, reading, listening, reading. But literally just utilize those resources and don't give yourself an excuse. I'm excited because this book is fire. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna probably spend most of my time in chapter 7. Just because y'all definitely tore down chapter 6, and I don't want to reiterate because we've been on here for a minute. But ultimately, on page 97 in chapter 6, he literally said, failure inspires winners, failure defeats losers. And that is the realest bar I have ever heard, because in the midst of failure, especially in the process of being an entrepreneur, you see who it takes out and who it keeps in the game. And it's honestly wild because in that, it's like, his engine really messed me up. Let me make sure I'm on voice isolation. I am. But in that, like, your ability to deal with failure, your ability to deal with failure is actually what sets you apart in the marketplace, truly. And as he was going through that passage, I just screenshotted it because I was like, yo, this is actually fire. Because when he talked about like understanding the difference between I can't afford it versus how can I afford it, it really goes into that. Like, that literally is fear. And you're either being eliminated by that fear or you are being inspired by that fear, period. And he walked through a perfect example of when he asked, like, okay, like, what are rich habits versus poor habits? in that example, he low key gave an example of what happens in the majority of our lives on the day to day. And Marcus kind of just touched on a little bit as well. But in that example on page 105, he literally was going through and just asking his rich dad, like, what are these habits? And he's like, I'm going to answer that with a question and a quick little lesson. When does your poor dad pay his bills? On the first. Does he ever pay himself? No. That's why he ain't got nothing left afterwards. Makes sense. He goes, what I do is I pay myself first before I pay anybody. I invest in myself. I buy the education platform before that bill comes out. I go and do whatever I need to do and I'll pay them people later. Why? Because those people are going to bark at me to pay them more than I'll bark at myself to pay me. And that was facts, bro. It's actually crazy. And I watch literally bills take people out the game every single week. And I'm not talking about monthly payments. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm literally just talking about the mentality of like, even myself, literally, I be paying my own bills before myself. And it's why I haven't invested in some coins as I've wanted to at the times that I've wanted to, the whole nine. Like, it's honestly wild because in that, I just really caught a lesson there, like that I've read this book. This is now like my fourth time reading this book. So in that, it's like I've never caught this lesson better in my life, but just where I'm at as I'm headed for the next level, that was a huge lesson, period. Because they are gonna bark louder. Because I don't bark at myself all that loud. I be barking, but I don't be barking that loud. I be like growling low. You know what I'm saying? You know how when a dog walks up and they're like, and they ain't barked yet. You know what I'm saying? That's like me to myself when I don't invest. Truly. And it's crazy because he just said if you pay yourself first, you'll get financially stronger mentally and physically. And that is facts because if you don't pay yourself and you continuously know you need to and continuously don't, you get financially weaker mentally and physically, or excuse me, fiscally. And that is facts. Everything you say yes to, you say no to, it's inverse opposite. You got to remember that. So it was facts, man. For me, this chapter was huge, just where I'm at in my life as I'm getting into this next step of really taking my family to the next level and really starting to get disciplined and serious about it. I'm like, okay, where am I lacking and how can I get there? Because I know how talented I am, yet I'm not making the money that I want to make. Why is that? And a few things that he talked about in chapter 7 were all of those different things that you got to overcome: laziness, cynicism, fear, like the whole nine, bad habits. When it comes to laziness, this was crazy too, because I watched this, especially as parents who be out here. This one was bars, so I'm just going to read it. Busy people are often the most lazy. We have all heard stories of a businessman who works hard to earn money. He works hard to be a good provider for his wife and children. He spends long hours at the office and brings home work on weekends. One day he comes home to an empty house. His wife is left with the kids. He knew he and his wife had problems, but rather than work to make the relationship strong, he stayed busy at work, dismayed, and his performance at work slips and he loses his job. Today, I often meet people who are too busy to take care of their wealth. There are people who are too busy to take care of their health, and the cause is the same. They're busy and they stay busy as a way of avoiding something they do not want to face. Nobody has to tell them. Deep down, they know. I dropped a video on this on TikTok a couple weeks ago. Deep down, you know. In fact, if you remind them, they often respond with anger or irritation. If they aren't busy at work or with the kids, they're often busy watching TV, fishing, playing golf, shopping, playing a sport. Yet deep down, they know that they're avoiding something important. And that's the most common form of laziness. Laziness by staying busy. And I was like, whoa, quit playing with Robert. Why have I never read that passage in the 4 times that I've read this book? Or I just must have breezed over it or something. But whoa, that was a bar. Throw a 7 in the chat. Actually, throw a 2 in the chat. That's you too. What's up? We've been being transparent this morning, all of us. It's crazy, y'all. I find myself doing all of that so much, and I had to really take a reality check. And this is something Amber and I spoke about not too long ago as well. Like, you got to check if your habits match your goals in so many different areas of your life. It's wild, y'all. So that was definitely a big bar for me when it comes to laziness. And also, we went over when he talked about like the difference between having a job and learning to learn versus having a job to actually earn money. He talked about some of the skills that you need, and y'all did an amazing job touching on that author. It's one of my favorite things to talk about with people. But he literally just talked about the 3 skills needed for success. It's management of cash flow. And everything I just talked about is literally how I'm learning how to manage that cash flow and invest in more assets that create cash flow. Period. I hope you guys are doing the same. I know you guys are doing the same. Management of systems. This is something that we've been diving into now for about 3 years and really understanding how systems work. It's always been my mindset on things, but in that process, you got to learn it, period. You got to learn the back end. And this is why Robert went and worked in all of the different departments that create a company. If I was to ever make a full resume, which I will never do, but if I was to make a full resume on all the freaking jobs that I've had, it's crazy. And I understand why we've created our own company and how we've been able to create what we have. And the third one is management of people. Shout out to my parents sending me to military school in 9th grade, and then my school recognizing my leadership capabilities and actually making me lead a group of people. I didn't realize until I read this passage how impactful that was really to my life. And it was such a small, insignificant moment that I was just waiting to get out of. So I was performing my best because I wanted to get back to my high school that I went to. But I learned how to manage people at a young age. I learned how to do a lot at a young age. And shout out to my mom, because being a business owner and watching her literally, she had me booking appointments for a hair salon. She had me in there taking care of people, making food. I did every freaking thing that you could ever possibly do while chicks are getting their hair done. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stores. I'm doing laundry. I'm handling accounting with my mom. She taught me taxes, like the whole 9. And when it comes down to it, I didn't realize that my parents were prepping me for entrepreneurship. I had no idea. And just shout out to the lessons taught in this book and the lessons that a lot of my parents taught me, a lot of those lessons as a child as well. And I see why I am the way that I am. It's lit. And in that process, if you see why the way that you are, what's cool is we have the power to choose our habits, period. And we can choose what we teach. We can choose what we choose to believe and accept, or further on seem to deny. And then from there, go and accept a different like narrative, like if you didn't learn these skills from your parents like I didn't, that's okay, because you're literally learning these skills right now. You've just got to dial in on them, because it's way easier to train a child than an adult. So you got to understand that you've got to take that intentional time, even when shit is hard. You've got to invest in yourself, even when you're short on money, like Rich Dad was talking about. Period. Yeah, they go and bark. I'm not saying to not pay them. I'm not saying to not do it, but I'm not saying to not take care of your kids. I'm not saying to not wake up and go do Uber Eats. I'm not saying to not get up and go do what you got to do, but also do what you got to do in order to get out of that situation, or else you're going to stay in it. And those were some of the main lessons that I caught from today's reading. It's honestly lit. So it's crazy. I had no idea when I woke up this morning that chapter 6 and 7 were going to be like that, but I know this book is like that. So I was excited. This is why I was like, yo, hold on, let me see where everybody at. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I prepped to you with some songs to play in the beginning. I'm like, yo, let's get it today. We up, we moving, we grooving. And truly, it's because honestly, we have access to some of the best, amazing relationships, some of the best, amazing resources as well. And we literally just got to use them and get disciplined about it and go where we want to go, because we know exactly what we need to get done in order to get there. And every minute that we don't work hard is another day that we got to work hard. So shout out to this book. It ain't just about working hard. Go dive into them skills. He said sales and marketing are 2 of the best skills to learn. I hope y'all caught that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely is. No matter what you're doing, you specialize those sales and marketing skills with what you love to do and what your passion is and what other type of skill set that you specialize in. And it's game over, and you'll impact the world. You'll impact thousands of lives, just like we're doing. And it's a wrap, period. All your dreams will come true if you go put all 3 of those things together. So I'm excited. If there's nobody else, I don't think there is. I heard from each and every one of y'all. Unless, Cam, you wanted to drop some notes on the call.
Hey, real quick, I just wanted to say, if Cam, you still want to do that, do that. But like, remember how Mikhail, you had mentioned him talking about laziness, and I just want to throw that out there if anybody want to talk about it. But he was saying that greed is the solution to laziness, which is like a conundrum. But he said that, of course, anything too much of anything is not necessarily a good thing. But he said if you're like having these visions of the things that you actually want, and you be a little bit greedy about them. It's like this fine line where you're just dancing on to think of all of, like I mentioned earlier about luxury. That was why I mentioned that, because I love luxury and I'm okay with that. I love looking good, stepping out, having some shit on. You feel me? So that is something that I keep in my head when, at the end of the day, of course, I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my family. And like a real big thing is because I like to do stuff. Like I'm always everywhere. I love making money. I like spending it on luxurious things and feeling like, and I don't do it just because I see everybody else doing it. I do it because I genuinely like doing it. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna dance on a line where it's like, I know that I'm not about to be on a yacht on 4th of July if I'm not taking care of this business over here. So I just wanted to see if I caught that.
Yeah, I can go ahead and add to that. Like she's saying, greed, we don't want to operate out of greed, right? But you gotta have what you want to go get, but you gotta see it first. And man, I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say about that? That man, that thought just left my head. Um, you said greed. Uh, man, I'm sorry. I had that thought. I'm sorry, it just left my mind. I apologize for that.
No, all good. I will touch on that though, because honestly, sometimes it could be viewed as societally as like, bro, how dare you? Because a lot of people have the Robin Hood mentality. Screw the rich. But at the end of the day, like I keep it very biblical and I don't like read from like some people refer to as like the prosperity Bible, but we are called to be in abundance. And like, why not? I enjoy the finer things of life too. Give me like I can't wait till I'm ordering the $300 wine bottles because I can. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy the nicer things of life. And if I've been blessed enough to be able to experience it, why would I cut myself from the experience? You only got one life. So a lot of it, um, again, it's that reprogramming that Sam was talking about. It's the biggest part. If you recognize that you have, and one of my mentors, Nano Torres, he described it like a yarn ball, right? You've had a whole bunch of thought processes, whole bunch of neurological pathways, whole bunch of things being programmed into you over the course of majority of the time, at least 2 decades, unless you got exposed to personal development and a different way of thinking prior to 18. But most people don't get exposed to it till after they're 20. So with that being said, you got 2 decades worth of the same stuff built up. So before you can build out the proper way of thinking, you've literally got to deconstruct the yarn ball. And it takes some time. You can unwind the yarn ball as fast or as slow as you want, but that's the first part. And then you can implement the right parts of thinking. So, Monty, I don't think it's a negative. I don't know what the question was, but I agree with I enjoy a higher lifestyle. It's why I'm going after that and why I want to provide that for my family too. Because I've experienced it before. I know what it's like. And what I'm saying? I see it at different levels. And there's no difference between those people and us. They just use money more efficiently. It's a game. You got to figure out how to play it, and then you can go and do more with it. And the way I see it is like a reward process, a reward system. Like if I'm serving and I'm giving and I'm doing, and then I have disposable income, I will spend my 10% how I want. Thank you. Come again. Don't be mad because my 10% has been compounded over the years. But that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, I wanted to say something real quick. Can you hear me? It's the highest level of self-love.
We can hear you.
It's like it's the highest level of self-love to expect the best for yourself. And the more that you develop yourself and you develop your skills, the more that you allow yourself to see yourself, the more that you're going to inevitably expect more for yourself, because you're just going to be vibrating so high that like it's inevitable, And so also think about it. I think of it as those things too. Like Like, yes, there are goals that we're building up to, but it's also inevitable. It's gonna happen. The more that you continue to do the work and be consistent, the more that you are gonna grow, and the more that things around you are gonna elevate as well. And so that's one word that I've been using all year is the word allow. Like me, I've been talking to my subconscious about allowing myself to receive the best, allowing myself to receive all the things that are for me, and not push them away of subconscious fear of thinking I'm not worthy and not deserving of them, because I am, and using that I am. And I think the one thing that I wanted to reference to too is with this whole conversation, talking about so many things. But I wanted to bring up with reading this book and building the habit of reading this book. One day a week is suffice. Just building the habit of doing just one day, 1 day a week, 1 hour, and just doing that consistently over and over and over and over and over again. The muscle will build. The accumulated repetition will build, and it'll be something that you do. It becomes part of your life. It becomes a part of your identity, just growing. And so I just want to say that. That's it. I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, listen, that is factual, and I appreciate y'all. For today, we're going to get it in. Next week, obviously, we are covering chapters 8 and 9. The names of those chapters. Getting started, and chapter 9 is still want more. Here are some to-dos. Honestly, we can just finish the book next week, y'all. Because the last thing after chapter 9 is final thoughts, and it's 3 pages. So yeah, we gonna finish this thing next week. I'm excited. That's kind of crazy. When you're reading the ebook, you kind of don't realize when the end is coming until all of a sudden you look at it like that. It's wild. So no, I'm excited, y'all. It's definitely gonna be one to remember. Do me a solid, invite a friend next week. We all get one friend on here. There'll be 18 people in book club next week. But invite a friend on there, because we're gonna wrap up the entire book on that conversation. And truth be told, I know for a fact that y'all got friends, because I got friends that need access to this information. And sometimes these ninjas just might not pick up the book, in no matter how many times you tell them. So get them exposed to the information so that they can hear how it's impacting other people's lives. And then from there, they can make a decision you know what? I need that book, period. And if you got the ebook, you can send it to them. Or you can just literally not sell them, but go to YouTube, send them to YouTube. Boom. Just start having these conversations with your people and start helping all of our communities actually understand and grow in their financial literacy, because it's imperative that we do, period. I know y'all want to build a wealthy community just as I do. I know you ain't trying to be on the beach with just us. We lit. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. We lit. But I know for a fact that if you had an opportunity to bring your family with you, you would. So invite them on a call. I'll see y'all on Saturday. I love y'all. Let's get it. Bye. I got to
Love
replay.
you. Bye.
Be safe out there. Don't be crazy.